scrolling text in a terminal window, that's the demo.
Oh, we forgot that. We need to add that.
This person's going to do this. This person's going to do this. And then reality sets in, and
you hit the nail on it. That's exactly what I was gonna lead into.
Why not generate like literally an entire enterprise application?
We're gonna try this 100 times. Okay, great. We're gonna try it 1,000 times. Okay, great. Oh, StreamYard is updated. I could have had an intro video play automatically. It'd save me some editing.
I have to come up with a sweet like 80s cartoon intro.
I like it. Well, yeah. Will's not here, but he and one of his buddies came up with the little riff. So we've got the synthwave riff. I recorded the intro of deleting the meeting, so I've got something right now. So we've got an intro at least.
Nice.
But always room for improvement for sure. But yeah, so this is episode 10. It's been a little while. I was just looking. It's been over a month, but hey, it happens, right?
But we made it to 10.
We've made it to double digits. So, that is something. Going back to that, I mean, 21 episodes puts us in like the top 90 percentile of all podcasts. So then we have to compete with Joe Rogan, and, then it gets a little tougher, but, we'll cross that bridge when we get to it.
Yeah. It's, a few hundred to go, but it's fine.
Exactly. But yeah, well, it's good to be back. Thank you for joining me. Appreciate it. No, this is kind of a late one for us, so ready to go. I think last time, oh man, we dove into scalability, which was a fun one. This time, I've got some stuff. I haven't even clued you into where we're going. So
perfect.
Raw reaction. Okay, I don't know. I mean, I'm gonna spoiler some stuff. You kind of saw it because I was actually chatting with Will about it, where we were texting a little bit. We did a hackathon thing last weekend, so it's gonna go public. I don't know if Will's gonna be upset about that or not, but I'm gonna talk about it a little bit. But Twitch was doing a hackathon, and so we were going to submit a project to Twitch for the hackathon. It's due November 4th, I think. And the goal is to create something community-based tools or whatever. Well, Will and I had talked, and I think we had talked to you a little while ago about the idea that we had about creating essentially stocks. So like Twitch stocks. I don't know if you remember that. Yeah. So Will and his buddy John wanted to resurrect that project for this hackathon. So that's what we were kind of working on. So we've talked about it a little bit, got an idea for it. So it's finally coming to fruition a little bit, where we're doing some stuff. They've been working on some front end app development, and I've been doing the back end. So written a ton of Go code for this. So yeah. So right now the concept is just kind of, it's like fantasy football almost, but it's more like a small stock market. So, thinking like 10 users, you pick your channels, and then, we're going to pick like a stat, and then you'll track that stat. That'll kind of determine the price of the stock. And then you can make trades and, try to build your portfolio that generates the most value. So I'm trying to build proof of concept of at least just having an individual like market instance, and then your list of channels that you're going to track, and then your users, and then your how your users can. So it's going to start with an initial auction. So we're going to be able to instantiate a market, and then auction off all the channels, and then distribute the shares of the channels to the winners of the auction, and then people can start trading shares. So haven't quite gotten there yet. I've got a decent amount of it going. So I'm hoping to actually have something working this weekend. But there is, I'm going like full AI coding at this point. So there's an IDE called Cursor. Have you heard of this? Mm-hmm. Okay. Yep. Been going pretty hard with Cursor, and it's actually been pretty great. Let me see. Let me go ahead and share my screen. So you have heard of Cursor?
I have.
You looked into it too much yet?
No.
Okay. It's pretty crazy, actually. Very much looks like VS Code. I'm assuming. Can you see it?
Yeah.
Okay, cool. Yeah, very much looks like VS Code, but man, it's probably not too far off from like you know uh, Copilot and that kind of thing, where it's just really nice to have the entire code base available, and so you have your chat on the side, and you can just do like a command enter and just send the whole code base. Be like, okay, how do I refactor this? Um, which has been really really helpful. And then, but just yeah, again, having the ability to autocomplete things from a context of the entire project is super awesome. And then I don't know, and then just having the workflow right there, where it's like, hey, what's the like what I've been doing a lot of, because a little rusty on my back end programming, so I've been writing a lot of back end Go and just asking for like best practice. Like, okay, like I know I don't want to like so I like completely forgot my service layer. So it's like I feel like something's missing here, and it's like, oh yeah, you probably want a service layer and not just directly access your repository from your handler. Like, okay, that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
So it's able to help me do that, and then man, it's kind of crazy actually what it's been able to do. So, but anyway, so we're spoiling some code here a little bit, but I have, roughly a enterprise level uh, platform going on here, as far as like at least like an enterprise style project.
Yeah.
With all my proper we got handlers, we got a repository, we've got our services. So trying to follow best practice on that kind of thing. So uh, so far so good. So um, yeah, and then I've been swapping around models, which is actually really nice. So I haven't messed around with Cursor's model itself too much. I think they have their model running in the background for some of their autocomplete and that, and some of the other things. I think when they're trying to index things and that kind of thing. But for the most part, I switch between. So you get GPT-4o Mini, I think, for free, and then I think you also get Cursor for free. Oh, I didn't know they had O1 preview in here. I don't
Hmm.
remember that being in here. That's nice. So that right now for a Chat GPT Plus membership, I think it's $20 a month, right? And you can only use O1 Preview 50 times a week right now, unless you're like tier 3 usage, where you're spending at least like $250 a month on API tokens.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I didn't realize you could do that, so that's kind of cool. But yeah, then Claude Sonnet is also a little bit limited, where I think you can only do like 50 a day. So I've been it might even be 50 a month. They might have you kind of restricted. Unfortunately, you can't plug in your own API keys for these, since they're tied into the Cursor environment. So
Hmm.
you have to you're kind of restricted to your account and what they let you use, which is a little bit of a bummer, because I do have a Claude Sonnet,
Makes
or I
sense.
have a Claude membership subscription on my own. But yeah, but anyway, um, it's been super cool. I've been really really enjoying it. So and it's also just been a nice refresher, because it's been a long time since I've done some like full fledged back end development. So it's been good to like get back into the swing of things and brush off the rust, because not actual rust. This is Go, but yeah, get a little bit sharp again. So yeah,
Thank God.
rust is later. We'll do rust later.
Sure. Yep.
Um, but
Once
yeah,
they
so
cancel the
far,
Go project,
what's that?
I said once they cancel the Go project and
Right.
every other language possible,
Of course,
then I'll
yeah.
do it again.
Then okay, that's right. Yeah, I remember you saying you were not a big fan. You were
I
not
was not.
impressed with Rust.
I was not.
Um, so anyway, I just wanted to talk about that for a little bit. So
Yeah, man.
yeah. Um, so you've heard of Cursor, but you haven't played around with it too much yet.
Yeah, I mean, like we've got plugins obviously that do similar things using uh, kind of our own tech at work, right? So,
Sure.
um, but I mean, same general concept. You
Hmm.
got a little panel on the side. Ask it a question. It'll spit out some code.
Hmm.
Tell it refactor the currently open window. It does. It does that. And I use it for like everything too. Refactor Lasaco, like a SQL query or something. Boom,
Yeah.
just does it.
Nice.
Like without any context of like what else might be in the database or whatever. It just does it.
Yep.
Refactor a class, generate a stub for a test class. I mean anything. The one I was having to do the other day, which I thought was was awesome. Like gave it just like a random problem that I was playing around with, which was like, how can you take a GeoTIFF, tile it for use on like an OpenStreetMap map,
Okay.
right? So
Okay.
totally generated like 95% workable code for something that is very specific, right? It requires
Yeah.
specific tooling and all this kind of stuff. I mean, like, so cool,
No,
so
for
cool.
sure.
Saves a
Well,
ton of time.
it does. It's kind of insane because I mean, even I put in quite a few hours into just coding stuff, but I mean, half of that was just trying to remember how I should like properly do a lot of this stuff. And, but it was just, I don't know, it was just crazy. It's crazy to take a project from concept to concrete, so quickly, especially because we did the hackathon. I mean, I think it was Saturday night. We finally had decided on how all the rules for it and just kind of wrote it all out. Like this is roughly how it's going to work. Here's all the rules. So all I did was dump that into O1. I think O1 preview, which is like, hey, how can you help me stub out the APIs for this? It's like, sure, and it just lists out like 25 APIs. It's like, yeah, this is pretty close. Like this makes a lot of sense. and it's a lot of stuff like I hadn't even thought about. So it's like, yeah, no, this is good. And then just kind of use that as like the initial framework, and then just kind of stubbed it out, and then slowly building out those APIs, and test it once it builds it. And the other thing that's crazy was just like, I don't know. I mean, honestly, I don't think I've ever actually. I know what Postgres is, but I don't think I've ever actually used Postgres, and just being able to be like, hey, can you create a quick container? Just help me set up a Postgres database container so I could just run the local app on a local container. It's like, yeah, sure. It's like, okay, cool. It's like, how do I access that? Like, here's the command to log in. Like, all right, cool. And then it's like, wait, so then programmatically, like, how do I manage models versus the Postgres database? And it's like, oh yeah, here you go. And it shows me how to like build out all the models. And it's like, okay. And then wait, I want to change some of the columns in this. Like, how do I even do that? Can I do that programmatically? It's like, oh yeah, I got you. It's like, you're just going to create a migration file. You're going to throw in the functions. They're going to update those columns. You're going to run those before you do your database setup, and then you're good to go. It's like, yeah, that works. Like just the, just like the one shot on a lot of this stuff is just, it's crazy. Like it's crazy. Uh,
Yeah, yeah, it's like a contractor that listens.
right. Yeah. Yeah. Like, see that exactly. Like, there's hope for me if I want to go the contractor route. Like, I could be a super contractor.
Yeah.
Um, well, I was just listening to a podcast. I was gonna say, I mean, it's been like over a month, so it's like I just have like a huge backlog of podcasts to reference. But most recently, I was listening to one where these guys were talking about. Um, they're more getting into like the abstract of like how smart AI is going to be, and AI being a super intelligence or whatever, and the talking about like, well, what if the AI is going to be gets to be as smart as Einstein or smarter. And I mean, I guess I'd just say like this was who was it? This was Tom Bilyeu, and then Imad. I think Imad is the guy that founded Stability, if I'm not correct. So he created like Stable Diffusion and a bunch of
Mm.
models around like Stable Diffusion and Stable Video and all that stuff. So anyway, his interpretation of that was just most of the time the model doesn't need to be as smart as Einstein, where you could just have a sufficiently intelligent enough model to get a lot of things done, and it just needs to be consistent because all you just need, it's just the amount of work is more important really than that you don't need to branch into the Einstein level of intelligence to figure things out. Most of the time it's just do the stuff and just do it
Mhm.
consistently, and have somebody smart enough to just be able to do the stuff. And I don't know, that was something that like, yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. Like just the consistent without error is huge. Which yeah.
No, it's totally. And honestly, like you're right. So in a lot of cases, it is. I mean, it is funny how it just sort of tracks against software development as a practice. Like sometimes you just need a bunch of stuff to get done. But I think
Right.
that's where I think the instances of these models or bots or autonomous agents or whatever term we end up actually calling it, but just having like these instances of these personas out there, right? And they're specifically trained and instructed to do a specific thing.
Mhm.
And it's like you could just farm all this stuff out, right?
Yeah.
Not to say that
Yeah.
like a single one, like obviously you're using these tools and generating everything you need kind of as you're going along, but like being able to generate like an enterprise scale application, with all the bells and whistles and code and checks and balances in place. I think that's actually for me one of the cool things is write a class and say are there any known security defects with this pattern,
Nice.
right? And it might say
Yeah.
something like, "Oh, we noticed that you're not specifically checking for like a buffer underrun or something." Okay, right?
Yeah.
So you can go back and add that kind of stuff.
Yeah.
But like we get to a point where orchestration becomes the kind of next enabler of scale,
Okay.
right? Being able to take a problem, dissect it, which could be the work of a specifically trained model as well, to be able to dissect a natural language problem
Mhm.
into requisite parts and then farm that out to these specific personas
Yeah.
to then start building out, right? Like,
Right.
why not generate like literally an entire enterprise application through like an orchestrated bot network, right? No
Yeah.
reason like a bot can't go and configure an entire F5 infrastructure and an entire domain infrastructure and networking and security and right. There's no
Yeah.
reason.
Yeah.
Anything API enabled or anything that has instrumentation ability, totally. So
That's uh I mean, yeah, you hit the nail on it. That's exactly what I was gonna I was gonna lead into was that
yeah.
that might be the next thing that I start messing around with because I was just thinking about it the other day. Is like you could essentially have a virtual corporation, and I mean, it essentially would be what you like corporation as a service. I mean, it's like a corporation and an API, and just like here, you know. And I was thinking about it, and I was touching on I think on the different models, and I mean, I think I could probably pretty quickly get into the higher tiers of OpenAI service and get to the point that I could use the more advanced reasoning models more
Mm-hmm.
effectively, right? Because I think right now you can run the O1 preview model. Have you messed around with that at all?
Mm-mm.
Okay, it's interesting. It's kind of cool. It thinks, right? So when you ask it a question, it basically takes anywhere from 5 to 45 seconds to outline to itself, like, okay, I'm understanding the problem. Here are all the steps I'm going to take, and then it starts spitting out the full answer. So it's reasoning in a sense,
Hmm.
which is interesting. So it's not as fast, but it takes more time to really kind of figure out like what's the problem. Um, and so I think that just leads to a natural hierarchy, like we were talking about, where I mean that's what's going to operate as your CEO, and then you just kind of basically have your uh, hierarchy of next level down is the next models that aren't as good. So there's O1 preview is at the top, and then O1 mini. So O1 preview right now, like I can run it 50 times a week. O1 mini I can run 50 times a day. So it's like there's your second in command. You can talk to him 50 times a day, and then right below that to GPT 4.0 and Claude, and then you could run local models of whatever Meta and whatever else, and then you know and then essentially, yeah, like you're saying, just start. All right, like here are your models that are available to you. I mean, you probably know what they're good at, so you decide how to hire your team and just start allocating people, agents, whatever as needed.
It's isn't it funny to think like at a certain point? I mean, it's funny that you mentioned the word hire because that's such
Mhm.
like a human thing, right? Like
Yeah.
I come to you and you as a manager interview me and then you make a decision as to whether or not I meet the qualifications or whatever, right?
Mm.
But isn't it funny to think like in the future you could literally have this situation where if you built something like corporation as a service, which might be like the coolest term of all time,
Right.
um, it could you could almost kind of foresee a situation where like models apply for a job and something decides whether or not to incorporate that model as a persona in this kind of
That,
corporation as a service mesh, right? And it
wow.
gets
Yeah.
assigned tasks.
Right.
Like, I mean, the reasoning gets sophisticated enough. Why not, right? Why not be able to apply uh, that level of sophistication? Like, and it could fire models,
Yeah,
it's just, I don't know. For some reason, I find that very almost comical,
a little
right?
bit. Well, and that's like just thinking about this. I mean, I don't know. I just kind of thought about it yesterday, but even thinking about that, and there's, I mean, and I think we've talked about it a little bit. There was, I forget what it was called. It was like Chat Dev or something like that. There was some project where it was, oh, we let these AIs populate a village or whatever, and then you just kind of watch what they do. Like you give them a bunch of roles, and they start, having these, regular lives like people basically, and they organize parties and they hang out after work and stuff like that. And then it's super interesting to watch. So then, with something like this, it'd be really crazy to just so you have your corporation as a platform running, or as a corporation as a service running, and you could call up, you know, what are, give me every one of these models that you're employing needs to have a randomly generated image. Give me what does this person look like, and I could generate some images for them, and then you go, yeah, I don't know. It would be interesting. It'd be interesting to see. You could look into it and basically just kind of like peer into the corporation when you want to, but otherwise it's just in the background doing its thing. I mean, I don't know. It's really no different than who knows what's going on at Microsoft. Like you get Windows, and like if you don't work there and you don't see it's effectively the same thing. So, yeah, I don't know. It's interesting.
Yeah, I'm sure in the very near future there will be experiments done where it's like replacing, and not maybe not even necessarily replacing, but running side by side of like, you've got this engineering team or just any kind of development team, doesn't have to be engineering, it could be really any kind of task oriented team,
Yeah.
and you basically build an equivalent set of personas
Hmm.
and just turn it loose and see what happens,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah. I'm
um,
actually very excited about this idea. But yeah, go ahead.
I am too, actually. It'll prove a point. I think that uh, that's kind of just long been standing, that people just don't want to accept,
Mhm.
which I think will be great. Um, and sad, a little bit sad at the same time. But like it'll just be very interesting to see kind of what when we think about something like project planning, right? And
Mhm.
we always think of it. You always go in thinking like, oh, this is going to be the one project. It's going to go super smooth. I know exactly what I'm thinking we're going to do.
Right.
This person's going to do this person's going to do this, and then
Hmm.
reality sets in, and right,
Right.
and it would be it would be very interesting to see the level of chaos that doesn't make it into kind of a bot driven model like that, right? If you gave it this super high level task and said, go do this
Mm.
with an equivalent set of personas,
Sure.
to see there's no drama, there's no bureaucracy, there's nothing, there's just simple input to output,
Right.
right?
Yeah.
um
And yeah, or just being able to objectively reason things. Oh, we forgot that. We need to add that. Okay. And,
yeah.
and yeah, we probably have to start this over. Like, all right, well, yeah, let's start it over. How do we do this better? And well, and I think, man, yeah, it's hard not to make that comparison, because I don't know. I was thinking about it the other day because, I think you were even kind of talking about it a little bit where, I mean, it's effectively like you're hiring. So you're, essentially outsourcing. And if you're going to break it down to, I could effectively hire people. So it's costing me money to run cycles on a model, but I mean, that's going to be way cheaper than an hourly to hire, even at the lowest market rate, to hire someone else.
Mhm.
And yeah, and even if I'm running my corporation as a service in the cloud, and it's costing me $100 a month to operate a couple images, I mean, yeah, depending on the output, it's yeah, that's insane.
It is. And then you think of the hiring and firing as like you think of it transactionally because that's the way we think of
Mm.
it, and that's how it works human wise. But in this type of model, it could just quite literally be like, somehow there's some rationale that determines that this one uh, instance was not effective, but then it could just quite literally turn around and just tweak the instructions or something that says like, how do we make it more effective? Well, this
Right.
thing did this one thing, always not do this one thing, and it keeps building this sort of this persona, and just keeps tweaking on it. um, be very.
Yeah. Well, and
Yeah, that's kind of a neat idea.
it's kind of yeah. Well, and the other thing that I don't know. I feel like maybe it's just something that and maybe I'm just not taking advantage of it enough, but is the not recursive, but the iterative, like the power of iteration and just how how you could just very easily just fire through hundreds and hundreds of cycles, just be able to make so much more progress than a normal human would ever get, or even a
Mm.
team, uh, where you now have this thing that can just work all day, every day, pumping out iterations, less than a minute, trying, I don't know, just the rate of work, even if it's not as good, the rate of work would be 100 times X. So you can just keep trying until you get there, So I don't know. That's kind of what I was thinking, and like especially, I mean, kind of like going back to even like the contracting and stuff. Um, without being the jerk that just the continually unhappy client or whatever. It's like, nah, it's not good enough. Nah, it's not good enough. You could absolutely do this with something that, again, is impartial. It's like, okay, every time, like, we're going to try this 100 times. Okay, great. We're going to try it 1,000 times. Okay, great. Just keep going. I don't
Yeah,
know.
simultaneously, right? And that's the other thing. It doesn't
True.
have to be like an iterative. I mean, it's iterative, but it doesn't have to be like a serial thing. It's like, okay, let's come up with 1,000 different ways to do it. All right, cool. Farm it out to 1,000 different, I don't know, senior engineer personas, and just say everybody
Right.
does their thing. It comes back somehow it gets graded. You pick the best 10. You try to iterate on those. You know what I mean? It's just like this cyclical improvement process, and you eventually just end up with the thing that wins, almost like I don't know, almost like a microcosmic evolution type deal, where you just the best traits keep perpetuating through. Boy, that sounded
Yeah.
might be
I
that might be
mean,
a little dramatic, but you know, but like that fast iteration, right? Like
mhm.
you come up with an idea and it's like, oh, we want to try this, but man, it'd be sure be good if we could try it 15 different ways because we got 15 different ideas, and you end up having to pick and choose the two or three because that's all the capacity you have. But what if all of a sudden capacity wasn't the problem
Yes.
and you just do it?
Yeah,
Um,
no, that's crazy. Well, it just and then and I don't know, it just eliminates all the time spent on. I mean, it's a lot less time spent on planning and trying to evaluate like what are the best things to prioritize and that kind of thing. Like, try them all, see what happens.
let's try them all. Yeah.
So that's funny. That was the big one for me. It was just I don't know. I just thought about that the other day. So I got to finish up this hackathon first. We have to get a
Yeah.
working MVP, and then and I haven't coordinated with the front end yet. So who knows? I have APIs that work, but yeah, right, yeah, front end's not important. So I'm sure
No,
it'll all
front end can come later.
sure
Scrolling
it'll
text in a terminal window, that's the
it's
demo.
beautiful. It's beautiful for sure.
Yeah,
Postman and console logs. So what else do you need?
that's it. Yeah.
But yeah, but this I don't know. I'm excited about I'm having a I don't know. I need to come up with a clever name. I mean, corporation as a service. I mean, sounds pretty good, but need something probably a
Pretty dope.
little more jazzy than that. But I don't know. It's just funny you landed on it right there too. So you're already there.
Every day, I mean, ever since this whole thing came about and everybody started, you know, freaking out about which jobs were going to get replaced and all this kind of stuff, like I've tried to take the other direction of like how can I incorporate this into my day to day to fix, you know, the nuance and the just the redundancy of everything.
Mm,
Because eventually,
for
what will
sure.
happen is, I mean, like it's just going to take over some of these jobs and some of the sort of redundant tasks and things, and it won't even be, you don't even have to type it into a box; it just does it.
Right.
So then it's like,
Yeah.
okay, well, what's the next iteration of, you know, what will I do? Um,
Right. Yeah.
I don't know. We'll see, but
Right.
it is pretty fun playing around with it and just thinking through this idea of like how can, even if we wanted to demonstrate this right now in a very small, way.
Mm,
Um, I'm just sitting here trying to think of like, yeah, we could probably put together like a round robin type, orchestration of of generation and see what could come out of it. Right?
mm.
It'd be
No, for
fun.
sure. Absolutely. Yeah, I think it'd be a lot of fun. Yeah, like you said, even just for the, I don't know, just for the experimental fact to be able to
Just for the giggles,
see,
man.
yeah, exactly what kind of corporate culture it develops and all of
Yeah.
that. So it'd be a good
I
time.
fully expect it to turn into, guy sitting at the end of the table stroking a cat level, world domination type thing immediately. It just
Yeah,
hard right turn into that. Um,
it's
it's fun.
decided, yeah, that it's going to build the next $1 trillion valuation company, and yeah,
Yeah.
it's already taken off. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, no. I mean, yeah. Hopefully, as supporters of the cause, we will be safe. I think we'll be okay. So I don't know. We'll see.
Yeah. We love the machines.
I, for one, welcome our new AI overlords, but
Oh, boy.
I don't know. Yeah, I
Well,
mean, I'm still gonna I skew positive. So I mean, I don't know. It's still the easy example. Nobody, whatever. I mean, not even 50 years ago, a social media manager as a job was, you wouldn't even. It's not even a concept. Like, not even something you could have dreamed up. So there's lots of other things on the other side. Hopefully, most of
50,
it's good. Yeah,
30,
yeah. But yeah, I guess, yeah, not even, yeah, 30
you
years
know?
ago.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, for sure.
Like brand managers was like, oh, got to make sure we get you into the latest issue of insert magazine name here, right? That was the whole thing, or billboards and TV appearances. Now it's just how many hashtags do you get? I don't know. I'm just
Right. Yeah. I mean, well, I mean, and that also, I've been hearing, and there's a lot of opportunity on the things that are not done as much anymore now. The billboard marketing is getting cheaper, and not as many people do it. So creates opportunity there too.
yeah. Um, I don't see why not. That's People still drive down the road. They still see the billboards. I
That's
still
right.
get super excited when I see the Bucky's billboard, even though it's hundreds of miles away. But when I
It's
see it,
just a
it's
tease. Yeah.
can't wait to go next time.
Soon
Um,
enough, hopefully it'll make it up here.
I know,
Awesome.
so glorious.
It is. It is. Yeah.
Ah,
It's
cool,
an
man.
experience for sure.
Well, I'm excited to see what you guys end up coming out with, um, and even more excited that it's forced you, I guess, maybe to get back into doing a little coding.
Yeah, it's
So
been one of those things where I kind of go back and forth, where I'll be on a roll, and I'll just kind of get sidetracked with another I don't know, idea or whatever, and then I stop doing as much coding, or yeah, mostly just switching projects is usually what happens, where I'll code for a little bit, then switch to a different idea or whatever. But this has been good because this has got me putting actual hours into coding again. So yeah,
nice,
it's been yeah, it's been good. It's been good.
nice. I'm excited,
I
man. I'm excited to see it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly. Hopefully, the peer review doesn't go too bad. So
I mean, depends on who you get.
fair enough. Yeah, fair enough. Yeah, okay. We'll
You want me
see.
to do
Hopefully, we'll
it? That's yeah.
exactly. You have a lot of work ahead of you. We'll see. We'll see how it goes with Will. I'm sure we'll have updates. He's gonna. I told him not to be too harsh on me. It's like it's been a little while. I'm not a daily Go driver, so it's gonna be a little rough. But hopefully, it's not too bad.
I mean, it'll be good. It'll be good. I'm just gonna
It's
have
mostly.
GPT review the code anyway.
I was gonna say, and it's like GPT wrote half of it anyway, so blame GPT. It's not my fault.
Yeah, yeah. No, I'm sure it'll be good. But more excited just to kind of see the idea, end to end played out.
For sure. Yeah, no, I'm sure we'll probably actually end up, hopefully get a little demo on here, and we'll get to talk about it once we got a working prototype. So it should be fun.
For sure.
Awesome, man. Well, unless there's any other burning comments to make, might let you get some sleep.
Sleep's for suckers, but um, I get it. No, I think no, that's a pretty good thing to end on. No, I'm just glad we finally got the schedules to work out and got to double digits. Insane.
10 episodes, right? Double digits, and then
Now we just got
I
to get to.
mean,
You said 21 is what we're shooting for.
21
21.
is next big milestone. So let's see.
Okay. Does that have to? Is there like a length of the episodes, or could it be like 21 5-minute little short take things?
I forget if we had. I think we had kind of talked about that. I think we were saying at minimum at least 20 minutes. That we
Oh,
gotta
okay.
have a standard somewhere. But yeah,
Okay, I can give you probably 11 good I mean, I could probably give you 11 good 20-minute rants right now about stuff. Not sure if you're trying to monetize these videos or anything. Some of them may, depends on which topic I go with, but
Fair enough.
no. But, no, cool, man. Yeah, 11 episodes. We got it. How hard
For sure.
could that be?
Right? Yeah, exactly. Right. It's double what we've done so far. So
Don't phrase it that way. That makes it sound that makes it sound way harder.
No. This is it. This is where the we establish a routine and we're good. We'll get this cadence going and we'll knock it out. So no big deal.
Nice. Look forward to it.
Awesome. Yeah, me too. Yeah, that's good enough. We're doing a short one. We're back at it. So next one, hopefully we'll get all three and we'll go full force. So in the meantime, awesome, man. Well, thanks for chatting and
Always.
see you in the next one.
See you, Jay.
See ya.